Grazie, grazie di nuovo
Thank you, Mariangela. I will try to give you a brief introduction of this company. These corporations developed their business in Hong Kong. And as they accepted my invitation, I guess they're happy with what happened there. I would like to start from Mr. Arrigo Berni. He attended a university in Pisa at the Sant'Anna School. He graduated with honor. He worked at Procter & Gamble. He started his international career in Tokyo, Japan, and then he left Procter & Gamble to become a manager at the Bain & Company. Then he moved on to Bulgari, so minor companies that nobody knows, but that led him to work for Testoni, and then he landed to SG Capital Europe, and he was able to buy Moleskine. We all know the legendary Moleskine notebooks. He's married, he's got 2 children, and he lives near Bologna. They wrote it to me, and I'm saying it. Mr. Callisto Fedon was born in Domeggia di Cadore, but I'm not going to mention the year of birth. He graduated at the University Ca' Foscari in Venice. He's the chairman of the board of directors of the Fedoni Group since 1985. Fedon is the market leader for eyewear cases. They've got over 1,000 employees all around the world. Callisto Fedon is been a chairman of Lamfao in 1993, 4 and 5. Is the general council member of the Cari Verona Bank. Matteo Lunelli is more famous for Ferrari Winery and is the vice president of Fondazione Altagamma. Ferrari Winery is a leader in the production of the classic method champagne wines, and is also managing a company producing an exclusive mineral water. This group includes Surgiva, the water company Ferrari, and also the real estate Lunelli in Tuscany and in the Umbria region. He is the vice president of a foundation, Altagamma, that gathers the most important luxury companies in Italy. He graduated at Bocconi University in Milan, and he worked at Goldman Sachs in Zurich, New York, and London. This session is going to be slightly different than the previous one. Our guests may remain seated, and you are welcome to send your questions from the floor. I prepared some questions for you, so I would like to start with my questions, the question that arose when I thought about your companies. I would like to address the first question to Mr. Berni. What are Moleskine's plans in Asia? As I understand, China is very well known by your group from a productive standpoint. Now we are in a new stage of development. Well, thank you for your invitation and for giving me the opportunity of sharing our experience in the Asian continent. We have our headquarters in Hong Kong. To answer your question, let me first provide you with some information so that you can understand what Moleskine is. From a business standpoint, you know the company because it is famous for the notepad. Less famous is our development since the foundation of the company that led us from 20 million euros turnover in 2006 to a forecast for 2014 that is close to 100 million euros turnover. We've got over 1,500 employees, and we've got a headquarters. The main headquarters is in Milan. The US headquarters is in New York. The Asian headquarters is in Hong Kong, and from there we have companies based in Shanghai, Singapore, and Tokyo. I mentioned the 100 million turnover because to show you that 70% of our turnover is wholesale, whereas we've got a great share of retailing of 50 million euros. At global level, we sell around 50 million units. Beside figures, I'd like to mention the opportunities that Asia is offering. It's important for me to share the way that our company conceived the business. We are known for our notepad, but since the onset, our company didn't consider itself just a stationery company, so just selling notepads. Of course we do that, of course this is our core business, but the business definition since the beginning was that we are selling a book yet to be written. And this is a great difference because it means that the added value of our brand, Moleskine, for our customer is something intangible that has to deal with creativity. So our products are a tool for creativity. I always see some puzzlement on my audience faces. However, this is absolutely normal in many businesses. We heard the president of Prada. They are selling in the fashion industry not only the value of the product, but also the intangible value that is beyond the product. We are the only ones in our category that were able to create a business that worked likewise. Is it important to speak about Asia? Well, what we actually sell is the intangible value. It's a tool for creativity. And now creativity comes from our heritage, our link with the great artists from the past and from the present. We are addressing an audience with very definite characteristics. Such audience is not defined by their purchase power. Of course, we produce premium products, but their price is affordable. It's not a barrier for the customer base. But our customer base is different because they have a high education. They perform working activities related to creativity, or they are knowledge workers. So value of their activity is produced through the manipulation and management of ideas. Our customer base lives in metropolitan areas and their age ranges very much. Our customers have got consumer approach that is sophisticated compared to the average of the market, especially regarding those layers of the market that were considered interesting for the luxury brands. In fact, through luxury products, we can recognize the status of people. This is what today makes the developments in Asia and in China interesting for our company, Moleskine. In China, we are seeing events developing very fastly. And I'm thinking about development in Japan starting from the 60s and the 70s. Now we have more sophisticated choices by customers, and they are connected surely with the attitude and the approach of the Chinese management and the Chinese elite. Therefore, a greater and greater amount of people in China is choosing directly their products and the consumption patterns. Of course, they go for brands because it's a symbol of a status, but not for their appearance. So this brings value to our customers because they can identify themselves with the more sophisticated layers of population, and this enabled us in the last 2 years in China to invest more and more resources and to open more and more flagship stores, Moleskine, in China. This is the only way to create brand identity for our product in China. Today, we have 13 points of sales in China. This choice was made in advance compared to Hong Kong. That is traditionally the platform to start from to develop further in mainland China. But we are going to open our store in Hong Kong on the 6th of November this year. We've got our regional headquarters in Hong Kong, as I mentioned, and that works for the entire Asian continent. Well, what can I add? Well, we face the same situation, the same positive environment, the same quality of the workforce that the other people mentioned here. I can add that for Moleskine, the connection with the cultural elite of a country is very important. So I can say that also, in this respect, Hong Kong proved to be a very interesting and stimulating environment. We've been cooperating with the Hong Kong Film Festival, and this is one of the main cultural events, in particular in the industry of cinema. And this is an important event for the entire Asia. That is a very important platform for us, and it will be important for many other companies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your remarks. Let me now give the floor to Callisto Fedon. I've been living abroad for 20 years, 18 in Asia, And I've rarely seen a company with such a big strength in the programmation and in the execution of its strategies, such as the company we're going to be talking about, Giorgio Fedon and Sons. Particularly, we have observed his company in 3 different business branches, which have to face different issues while establishing themselves in China and making Hong Kong their hub, and also facing the retail market in Hong Kong, which has been carried out quite successfully in my view. Also, the new stores are quite interesting. So my question is, which of these things was the most difficult, and what did Hong Kong do to help you? Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor for me to be here. The story I'm going to tell you, I hope very quickly, is going to be a little different from the one you've just heard, because we started from a problem. Our company is about 100-year-old, and we manufacture eyeglass cases, and our job is to communicate. Our job is to add value to the objects that we propose. When someone asks me, what do you do? I say, I do communications. I have to give value to the main object, which is which are the glasses, which our eyeglass cases contain. In the 90s, unfortunately, we had to experience the tsunami of the Chinese competitors. So at that point, we had a lot of volumes. We've been working with big brands that you certainly know. We found ourselves in the position of not being competitive anymore with our prices. So we established specifically a company to mechanize and to automatize the process, but that wasn't enough. So our story with the shining city of Hong Kong starts there. 10 years ago, we went to the wolf's cave. We went to manufacture in China directly. So in Italian, people would say that we delocalized the production. But this is wrong, because everywhere I go, I keep saying, try and think about the effort and the money, the spent money for those Italian entrepreneurs who have to move out of Italy to keep working. So our story is a story of sacrifice in order to compete with a world we couldn't keep up with anymore. So where to start from? Well, obviously from Hong Kong. And there, we began to study the market. We found professionalism, quickness in everything they did. We started merchandising, and then we decided to manufacture that. But manufacture how? That was a difficult decision to make, a hard one. It's not that we didn't want a partner. We didn't have a manufacturing partner to start with, so we decided with our consultants to start by ourselves. And so up to this day, the activity there is 100% Italian. And it's managed by Italians, but also by Chinese who are living in Hong Kong. For instance, our Chinese director, a very good and hard-working person, lives in Hong Kong, and a few days a week goes to mainland China. And this is also related to some tax advantages, and we're very happy with that. Not only with her, but also with other Hong Kong personnel we have that moves periodically to mainland China. Our company currently has 1,200 employees, according to the moment and the activity. Let me give you an example. The example between manufacturing in China and manufacturing in Romania, where we also have a plant. In China, you can find everything. In Hong Kong, you can find everything. That means professionalism, equipment, material, design, young, very professional designers, and also an Italian and Chinese support on the spot, which is a big factor. So very quickly, we started to manufacture our own products, which have the same color of Hong Kong. They're mainly orange, and that ties us to the city even more, because orange is our color. So what we do is leather bags and objects. We are partly competitors with Moleskine, even though you cannot compare what we do with what they do, because we mainly do accessories, leather bags. And what is the best place to start in Asia? Hong Kong, again, because Hong Kong is the gateway to Asia, but for us it's also the gateway to the United States. Because working in Hong Kong, it's a lot easier for us to have relationships with our American partners. So, like Mr. De Rosa said, the store issue is crucial. We started selling directly in our stores to end users. And in Asia, there is something that must not be forgotten. If you want to be recognized and well known in China, you have to open your own store, and that's a law I learned straight away, because Chinese people expect to find the best luxury brands there. So if you're visible in Hong Kong, you're visible throughout China. And the first step we took to conquer the Chinese market was to open our store in Hong Kong. Things are doing great there. People speak English. They're good. They work hard. So a little story, an episode that occurred to us. A few years ago, we were on a conference call with Hong Kong. Italian people, Hong Kong people were discussing about numbers, figures. So it was 5:30 in the evening, and we were asking for a prospectus from our Hong Kong colleagues, and so this colleague of mine said, "Oh, I'm going to give it to you tomorrow because I'm a bit tired today." It was 5:30 then, and a young lad who was with us, I'm saying young lad because, well, he's a little younger than me, said, "Okay, I agree, I'm tired too, I'd rather continue the discussion tomorrow." But the fact was that it was 5:30 in the evening in Italy, but in Hong Kong it was 11:30 p.m. and they were still working. So another question, if I may, an advice you feel like giving to entrepreneurs who are willing to face the Asian market? I don't want to be modest here, but it's difficult. There are a lot of things that still I have to learn. And even though I am there, I wouldn't know what to answer. It's a place where the quality of life is very high, and that allows us to keep Italian personnel, high-ranked personnel there, and they stay over there quite willingly. They're not willing to go back to Italy. What I always say is that in order to move, you have to know first. So please talk to reliable consultants and then make your decision autonomously. But I'd say that in Hong Kong, like in any other place, the same rules apply. I'm here, so I have to say that I'm doing fine there. But it's true that the Italian community in Hong Kong is rich, is quite well established. You also have good references. The Italian authorities in Hong Kong are quite helpful. The consul, whom I personally met, is really good, really helpful, really enthusiastic about things. And also Chinese and local consultants who have multiple offices very often in Hong Kong and in mainland China are also very helpful. So my advice is quite simple. Address the right people to make the right decision. Thank you also for mentioning something that is not very commonplace. The Italian Chamber of Commerce offices, the consulate offices, people who are there working with passion. It's a city that spurs you to work harder because it's a very competitive city. And I think that Italians are always doing fine in a competitive environment. So having to compete there with France and Germany on so many products, it's so important. So let us now give the floor to Dr. Lunelli, who owns one of maybe the most beautiful but maybe hardest activities that are in Italy. You'll be able to present quickly, to introduce your company, although you don't need much introduction. I'm just curious to know what's happened when the Hong Kong Financial Secretary, that is John Zong, whom I don't see here, cut the wine duties from 40% to 0, and how this modified the market, and if your product's distribution has become, as I believe, much simpler. So, in a word, the story of Ferrari's distribution in Hong Kong.
So good morning, and thank you for inviting me to this important event. The Hong Kong Trade Development Council is a great support for the Italian wine sector because it also organizes the Hong Kong International Wine Fair. So thank you also for devoting your attention to the wine sector. Well, to answer your question, I'm a winemaker, so of course I thank the Financial Secretary, Mr. Tang, for its initiative to to lower taxes to 0, as they like to say, was of course a great help. It was an entrepreneurial success. We thought that this was a great opportunity to create wealth in Hong Kong, and it was exactly like that. Hong Kong has become the capital center of wine in Asia. We can also say that on some top types of wine, Hong Kong proved to be leader. It proved to be an auction center for wine. I would like to give you some figures now. So import grew by 380%. So they are threefold bigger. So from 30 million liters, we went to 50 million liters. The most interesting data is this one because Hong Kong is a very good hub for fine wines. But numbers are not enough to describe the wine situation in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong has got a great wine culture, especially a culture that is about fine wines. So this government decision led all the journalists and opinion leaders in the wine sector to describe this measure. I would like to match wine with food, of course, because they are a perfect marriage. Today, we find the first master of wine in China. This is an award provided by an institute that trains masters in the wine sector. The master of wine is a lady. We have got an Italian magazine called Spirito Divino, Wine Spirit, that was very brave and started to publish also in Asia. In Hong Kong, there are many trade fairs. We've got here the lady ambassador of Italian wine, and she always advises us to penetrate Asia and China further and farther. So Hong Kong has become the wine center of Asia. But what is most important is that Hong Kong is a lifestyle trendsetter. So beside being a wine center with great and effective logistics and bureaucracy about wine, but you need to work to create a brand. I represent the Ferrari Winery. They've got a history that dates back over 100 years. Well, Ferrari marked many important events in Italy in the show business, in sport, and in many other occasions. I belong to the third generation of my family, sharing this passion and this challenge. Our challenge today is to bring Ferrari to be known worldwide, so to expand exports and visibility of our brand. And we always care to say that Ferrari is a symbol of the Italian art of living. This is a lifestyle concept, it's a cross concept that includes not only wine but also other industries, including fashion, design, food. That is why Hong Kong becomes more and more important for us, as it is the place where the Italian lifestyle speaks to Asia. If you go to Hong Kong and you go up on a skyscraper and you look around, you see a very big symbol by Ermenegildo Zegna. You see Italy all around. You see Italian stores, Italian restaurants. Today, Hong Kong is the best one to describe the Italian lifestyle, the Italian quality. For last but not least, recently Italian cuisine and restaurants are enjoying more and more success. Once, European restaurants in Hong Kong were mainly French restaurants, whereas now the only 3-star awarded Michelin restaurant is in Hong Kong. And in the video before, I saw Pino Lavari. It's a dear friend of mine that moved to Hong Kong and now is on top of the Ritz-Carlton. And this is again a symbolic place. We had the honor of creating a menu together with Pino Lavara. And on top of this skyscraper, you can understand the importance and the significance of this place. And it was an honor for the Italian chef to be able to work there. Also, Bellini were able to open a point of sale there, and also other restaurant owners moved to Hong Kong in these recent years. Our latest success is the following. Well, we have to say that much still needs to be done for my company and for other companies. Compared to fashion, the wine industry has much to do to promote the industry in Asia and in Hong Kong. Clearly, everybody that wish to tell the story of their wine will find in Hong Kong the right city. Whoever wants to create a brand in Asia will find the right place in Hong Kong. And not only for Asia, but also for mainland China. Any entrepreneur that looked at China saw how difficult it may be to develop in China. China has got a huge territory with very big cities. So Hong Kong can provide the key for starting to read China in the simplest way. Surely then you need to visit and to get to know China, but Hong Kong is the simplest first step to enter China. So it is the place where all winemakers should go if they want to develop in Asia. One last remark in my capacity of Vice President of Foundation Altagamma, I'm always struck on how this city is going hand in hand with the Italian excellence. Altagamma is an association that promotes the excellence of Made in Italy and the Italian culture. And it aims at gathering the top entrepreneurs of the Italian business. Milan is the capital city of creativity. So, in Hong Kong, there is a great passion for the Italian lifestyle and the Made in Italy. And we haven't exploited this sport yet, so thank you.
If I may continue, I think I understand that the obscene growth of the Italian restaurants in Hong Kong is kind of a stronghold for the further development of the Ferrari brand. I just can tell off the top of my head just a single restaurant in Hong Kong where there are no Italian sparkling wines. Well, certainly, within the range of Italian wines, sparkling wines are a very dynamic sector. So we as Bonelli Group and Ferrari Winery, we have an important brand which is Dizol, and also with Bizol we're having an unbelievable growth process in Asia and in China. Having said that, we must also remark that there is still a great opportunity to be taken for Italian wines. Let me give you some numbers. I wrote down the market shares that Italian wines have in different countries. We are proud to be the first exporting country into the United States. 31% of the foreign wines are Italian. So we're around 34% in Switzerland, over 30% also in Germany. So on the main market, Italian wines have a premium position. So in Hong Kong, Italian wines are about 6% of the overall volume of foreign wines. In China, we represent 7% of the imported wine. So keep these figures in mind. 31 in the United States, 7% in China. And this is just our fault. We as producers couldn't play the right cards, but there are also other factors. Let me give you a comparison. Let's take Russia, for instance. In 2001, Italian wine in Russia accounted for 4% of the total. Today we got to 30%. So what can happen? What can make China and Hong Kong become like Russia, a country where our wines count for 30%? The difference is not only the fact that wine producers should travel more to China, and we are engaged in that, but also tourism. We've been able to attract a high-quality Russian tourism to our country. They got to know our lifestyle, they got to know our cuisine, they got to know our territory. And this is an unbelievable element of communication, very important. It's very important to make other countries know our territory. From China as well, we also have a representative from Qatar Airways here. We have institution here, we have governmental representatives here, and these are the main leverages for us. I go around the world telling about my wine. I try to convey my passion, the passion of Trentino wineries, because all our wines come from Trentino, but nothing is as efficient, nothing works as well as convincing someone to come visit us. That's why we have so many delegations organized by Vinitaly or from exhibition fairs. But we have to attract our consumers to Italy. Other countries have been doing it better in recent times, but I'm fairly optimistic because in Hong Kong, Italian lifestyle is very well regarded. People love Italian cuisine in Hong Kong. This is creating a huge opportunity for Italian wines. But this is a challenge we must not lose, because China today is the fourth biggest market for wines worldwide, and it's the fastest growing one. So it's the market where we cannot fail. I'm pleased that you mentioned Cathay Pacific. So anyone who flies Cathay Pacific knows that it's very difficult for anyone else to stand up to their aircraft's quality, the quality of their staff, the quality of their food. Cathay Airways is one of the main symbols of Hong Kong, and it means excellency. Hong Kong isn't exactly a cheap place, and Cathay Pacific recently made an effort to help this traffic, which has become huge between Milan and Hong Kong. I understand the second daily flight will be put in place. Cathay Pacific, the only country where we have two daily flights from two different cities is Italy. I used to work in a bank, and my investors used to tell me, "Oh, I can't go there because there are no banks and Alitalia is not flying there." Unfortunately, banks are not there still, but flights are. So one last question, if possible, for Dr. Berni. You mentioned the fact that Moleskine has a completely different story, because you arrived in Hong Kong after trying a retailing experience in mainland China. So, as you're going to be opening on the 6th of November, I think this is just a supposition, but does it mean that you think that there is also a local end-user market in Hong Kong, or do you think this is just a flagship program to raise brand awareness in China? Based on facts, I am sure that there is a great local market in Hong Kong. We're going to open our store, managed directly by us, on the 6th of November, but we've been having in Hong Kong for more than a decade other points of sales through our distribution network in the main Hong Kong malls. Of course, there is a big influence from people coming from mainland China, but also Hong Kong residents are important, and we expect to see that reflected in our store. Thank you, Dr. Fedon. You spoke about delocalization, which is a bad word. It sounds really bad in Italian. How important is it to keep having, besides some of your staff in Asia, how important is it to keep your head in Italy for a company such as yours, which is working in the luxury industry? We manufacture mainly in China, in Romania, but also in Italy. We keep manufacturing in Italy the more expensive things. It sounds paradoxical, but the artisanal things are done in Italy. And whatever is automatized, we do it in China, because the added value of Italian lifestyle products, and especially in the leather market, found its market. And if someone was to tell you that an eyeglass case can be bought for 600 euros, you wouldn't believe it, but there are clients who do it. And these kind of clients in China are quite relevant. So keeping your head in Italy, you say. Well, it's a very long discussion, actually. What does it mean to keep your head in Italy? Let us not forget that should a Chinese company manufacture in Italy, they could be labeled as made in Italy. So this is a vast issue, I'm not going to analyze it in detail. So staying in Italy means keeping the ties with our past, our present, and our future, and keep being in touch with what is inspiring us, what is making become us, what we want to be. So Italy means intelligence, culture, taste, ability. Well, but Italy is where we invest more as well for design. But that's the same thing that we did in China. This doesn't mean that that China is more important than Italy, or the other way around. So the overall spirit and inspiration is clearly Italian. So Prada is launching its Made in Prada. What does it mean? It's a culture that doesn't depend from the place where you are. You try to keep the ideals that have inspired you no matter where you are from. So this is not an answer. I understand that. But it can't be that there is not a clear difference between where you work and where you take your know-how from. Thank you. We understood, at least I understood, that the world is rapidly changing, and that the ability of the Italian companies is not only to say, well, I have the made in Italy, but we have to be able to play in the global markets in a flexible way in order to compete on different markets. The world is now becoming a single global market, and we need to be everywhere. Very last question for Dr. Lunelli. In this regard, are we ever going to have a Chinese sparkling wine as a serious competitor for your products? Well, luckily, wine takes a long time. Someone told me once, Rothschild's director, he told me that the first 100 years of a company are the most difficult ones. I got into my company when it was older than that, more than 100-year-old. So I got in there when I was in 2002, and Ferrari Winery was founded in 1902. So I skipped this first part. So the Chinese still have a long way to go. But leaving the jokes aside, China is so big, so huge that there are territories where you can produce excellent wines. And I know that some European companies went to China already, and I think there will be an even greater production of wines in China. I think that Italy still has the tradition and uniqueness of its territories on its side. As for sparkling wines, we have different methodologies and different technologies and different territories, Moscato, Franciacorta, and so on and so forth. We have premier territories that have a unique history, and it's going to take some time for China to have that. But I'm not worried, because throughout the world, we realize that the local production, if it's high quality, and if it enhances the culture of wine consumption, it creates a benefit for others. Take California, for instance. It's a great market for Italian wines, and it's a state where you produce good wine. Oregon, take Oregon. Not many people know that, but Oregon has an excellent black Pinot, and it's a wining state in the United States. But still, we import more wines to Oregon than to other states, although it has its own wine. So a Chinese production of wines is not negative, not even in terms of expert for us. I'm quite confident to say that we have a premium product that expresses the tradition of a unique territory. Ferrari means Trentino, means the region Trentino. It's a territory with a century-long tradition. It comes from a particular climate, from a particular territory, which you can't find anywhere in the world. We are the only ones who do the so-called mountain sparkling wine, and that's not going to change. The Chinese have the challenge to develop their own wine, their own high-quality wines, but we can all gain some benefit from that, because the market in China is so huge that there would be room for anyone. Let me give you some figures. Hong Kong is the city with the highest rate consumption per person. It's 3.5 liters per person. In Italy, until the 70s, one person would consume up to 100 liters per year. Today we are around 70, I think, liters per year per person. So we're talking about markets where the growth potential is huge. Thank you.
I would like to ask my last question to Moleskine. How big can the Chinese market be for you? Because I'm sure it's quite an impossible to answer this question, but I know you have an idea about it. A quality level, the answer is evident. China is going to become the most important market for us. Now, 30% of our turnover is in the United States, 50% in the European area, and it is very equally distributed in all European countries, and we've got 10% in Italy, in fact. Whereas the recent developing area for Moleskine, that started in 2000, is now accounting for 12%. In Italy, though, we are seeing that China is a place where we started our development. Surely, we are just now opening our store in Hong Kong, but we've been present in China for the last 10 years. And so we are getting to Hong Kong through mainland China. In mainland China, we set up some stores because, differently from Hong Kong, there is a multi-brand reality in mainland China. So we started in 2012 to develop our markets in mainland China. And now China is getting to be the main Asian market for us. So to answer your question, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of how much. But it's going to be our main market. So thank you very much. It was a very interesting speech. I warmly thank our guests. We were able to stick to our schedule, so you are now free to go to lunch. I would like to thank once again Mr. Berni, Mr. Fedon, and Mr. Lunelli for their participation. Thank you.